Hello, Saints Nation. Welcome. We are back for some more Overwatch. Some more NACE Super Conference Overwatch. It's going to be so exciting tonight. My name is Evan Johnson, also known as Not Really Evan, joined by my lovely co-caster, Wyatt Rabson. Please, Wyatt, introduce yourself for the stream if they haven't seen you before already.
I mean, definitely haven't seen me here before. It's been a long time since I've casted some Overwatch here, especially casted with you, Evan. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing game to see because we have probably the biggest challenge for the Saints in the entire league coming up soon against Winthrop, which is just a powerhouse of a team.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Winthrop coming in 6-0, undefeated in the NACE Super Conference, sitting all alone at the top. Our Saints sitting at 4-2, very respectable last week of the NACE Super Conference before we can start talking about playoffs. So this is going to be a really big test for the Saints tonight to see if they're ready for the challenges that will face them in the playoffs. But like we mentioned, it's going to be a really tough task tonight. Winthrop has a lot of good players with a lot of pro play experience, so that's going to be something to watch out for.
Indeed, and to go through it really just briefly, Winthrop are 6-0 currently in the NACE season. Our Saints are currently 4-2. Touching on that a little bit further, you talked about some pro players that we have on the side of Winthrop. We have two players from actually Team Nightmare who play in the Overwatch Championship Series and just recently won one of the North American Stage 1 championships, which is a very notable achievement for themselves. That would be Ultraviolet and Zura. Ultraviolet being a main support player, and then Zura being a DPS, which I'm going to be very interested to see because we also have some very good DPS talent on our own side. We've got Noxious, who has played for Team Canada in some tournaments, which is going to be very interesting to see how they play today. But take a look at the roster right now for today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have Axure, we're going to have Noxious, who I mentioned. We're also going to have Razor, Redex, and Soak. So this is a powerhouse of a team in Saints, but it's going to be a big challenge for them today. Big challenge for them.
No, it's been a good season for the Saints. A bit of a roster shakeup, with Azure joining the team this semester, but he's really slotted in well into that tag position. He's definitely going to be one to watch tonight, sort of that new voice on the team. We were talking to Noxious before the game, talking about how that Maryville loss that the team just went through was sort of like a motivation factor for the team, really lit a fire inside the members of the Saints Overwatch team. So they are really coming into this game hungry, and they feel like even though this is going to be a very tough task with a Goliath of an opponent in their way, they're feeling very confident. So I really admire that confidence, and maybe that's going to be just enough to take them over the edge tonight.
I mean, you mentioned it. They had a really hard game against Maryville last week, going into it with a lot of preparation. They weren't prepared enough because it seems like what Maryville just brought out absolutely destroyed all of their preparation that they were bringing into that, and they ended, I believe, a clean sweep to the side of Maryville, which you mentioned also wasn't exactly how they were planning to end out the night, and is definitely, like you said, also something that's going to motivate them for today because they have an even bigger challenge ahead of them. They've got a professional team to face off against. But, one thing we were talking to Noxious a little bit earlier that I'd like to highlight is, yes, these are professional players, but they don't play as often together as our very own Saints. Our Saints play together. They scrim together. They are connected like a rope. So I think that's going to be the main deciding factor between the two teams is you've got the underdog collegiate team who play together as a band of brothers, and you've also got on the other side the professional team that play very well individually but may not have enough team chemistry to match the Saints.
When you talk about team chemistry, that really is the big factor in a lot of these pro teams. And I mean, you talk about a game like Overwatch, especially when you have to create your team comp. You're running on a lot of chemistry and figuring out what everybody else on your squad likes to do. It very much is a team-oriented affair. So having that confidence and knowing that, your teammate is going to be there for you to pick you up, or you know the strategies that you're going to run, definitely gives the Saints maybe a little bit of a mental edge. It still is going to be very tough. I mean, when you sort of get down to the nitty-gritty and the mechanics of Overwatch. But like we said, Noxious was feeling quite confident in the pregame. He very boldly said 3 for St. Clair and 0 for Winthrop. I don't know if it's going to be that much of a stomp tonight, but I'm pretty confident that the Saints can take at least one map, maybe even 2 in this series tonight.
I have to agree with you there because I don't think we're going to see the same thing that we did last week. I think it was kind of just a Maryville fluke against them going 3-0. I think we're at least going to see a Game 5 or Game 4 in this set. I don't believe it's going to be a 3-0, even though there may be a very big skill gap in this lobby here today. But I think something else that I want to talk about is I want to ask you, Evan. Like, the Saints are in a very different situation than they are normally in. You know, casting Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, whatever it may be, we are normally in the position where we are the best team on the ballpark. That's not the situation tonight. We have Winthrop, who are a much better team professionally than ourselves. What do you think our Saints have to do going up against such a Goliath team to win it out today?
Well, the biggest thing you really want to focus on is you need to play your best game today, multiple times. I mean, that is the absolute bare minimum you have to do if you want to even have a chance of sniffing a win tonight. So we want to see the Saints playing at not just 100%, but 200% tonight as we get closer to this one. Like we said, they want it to be a very long, drawn-out series, so you have to make sure that you're mentally sharp, mentally competent the entire way, because that really is going to be the key to victory here. And just making sure you're not making those little mistakes that can really come back to bite you. You know, just not overcommitting, making sure that you know where everyone's going, everyone is on their job, on their right task, playing the right role they need to, and, you know, no overextension, you know, no taking team fights when you're not in a good position. You know, make sure you're not getting out staggered and, you know, switching your strategy when the time comes, and then just being confident and starting out fast. Like you said, you want to make sure that Winthrop knows that they're going to be playing against somebody who's not going to just roll over right away. So you want to make sure you have a quick start and a confident start to keep that potential momentum going through the rest of that series. If they can at least get a couple of those things working the right way for them, I think they have a good shot.
They indeed have to bring 200% to this game because such a Goliath team that they are facing up against is going to be the biggest challenge that they have faced the entire season, as we mentioned before. And I think, as you also mentioned, something that I want to see is I want to see them getting active early on. I want to see them working well together as they get into this first game, and I want to see them being able to shut down Winthrop early on. Sounds like, and ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are getting into our first game now of this series. Let's see who is going to take it. On one side, you have the collegiate warriors of St. Clair Saints, and on the other, you have the professional team of Winthrop looking to get this game done with and finish out the season in a 7-0 clean sweep.
It absolutely is the type of matchup you love to see. Like, we always love seeing these sort of David versus Goliath stories in collegiate esports. It really is one of the best things about esports at this level. First game, gonna be on Lijiang Tower. I know Wyatt. This is a classic Overwatch map. A lot of people love it. A lot of people know it. What should the Saints' strategy be to approach Lijiang Tower?
You know, I think it's mostly going to rely on their picks from healer and probably tank as well, because talking about it and knowing a little bit of the current meta, it seems that DPS and healers are currently like locked in. Like, you're always going to see that Sojourn, you're going to see that Symmetra, you're also going to see a lot of Genji today for those Genji mains out there in the crowd. But I think it's really going to rely on the tanks, because right now from Winthrop we're seeing a little bit of ball action, and then on the side of the Saints we've got a little bit of, I'm already forgetting the name. Oh my lord.
Orisa.
Oh my lord.
Orisa. Oh,
I've been away
Wyatt,
from the
this is
game.
what happens when you don't when you don't play as much Overwatch anymore. You've been playing too much Marvel Rivals, but look at this. The Saints are able to get onto the point first after a couple tit-for-tat battles at the start here, but hopping on board with Redix here, trying to get something going with Lucio. You know, good start. The Saints were able to get a little bit of percentage onto that point, but Winthrop able to just win that war of attrition and get right back in there. And that's Infected taking out Azure there. We were talking about how good these Winthrop tank players are. Infected not able to get back on there as Redix able to finish him off on site. Noxious with a pick of his own. But again, there's that DPS all-star for Winthrop, Zero, who is, like we said, he's going to be so good, so dangerous to watch tonight.
Yep, and then we've got our own Noxious, who is switched over to the Cassidy, and Razor has also picked up the Tracer, which I think is a little bit of a creative play here. He was on the Genji, which I think could have definitely been a little better for them, but let's see what he can work with this Tracer. He can definitely dive into the back a little bit more. We are going to see that Kiriko ultimate drop now, so Gunfire is going to be falling fast. Looks like Zura is going to find one onto Soaks. We're going to find another, but Rack Attack and Infected find two to follow. Zura finds a fourth, and now the rest of the Saints have got to back up as Winthrop take the point control.
Yeah, that really was the experience of Winthrop coming out in full force there. I mean, the Saints were just absolutely overloaded by those attacks from Winthrop. I mean, like we said, we knew this was going to be a possibility, you know, but not impossible for the Saints. The Saints definitely have chance here. We have Razor in the back, does have his Pulse Bomb to work with to maybe get a pick or two to start that next team fight, and Redx is going to try and get it going here, but two ults on the side of Winthrop to counter out that breakdown. Definitely going to make things difficult for the Saints here. Noxious trying to find a pick there onto Infected, does get the assist there. Saints 3 ults to work with now. Definitely going to be looking to use some of those as the Saints manage to push Winthrop back with only using 1 ult there, so really smart not using a lot of those ults here. We take a look at the Saints as well. Very confident, very locked in here, trying to push Winthrop as far back into the spawn trap as they can, but has to be careful because Winthrop does have the opportunity to C9 right here.
They definitely need to take these opportunities when it comes up, and Razor's going to take 2 off of Winthrop, which is absolutely beautiful for them. This ball, Infected, is going to try to create something, but Noxious is going to send them back to the Wild Wild West to spawn, and now they're going to continue to push up right into Winthrop's half of the map, trying to keep that pressure on, trying to get them off of this side so that they can get some further percentage on here. They still are a little bit below Winthrop. Looks like they got another fight coming up. Cassidy's going to drop the ult now, and there's 3 more ults on the side of Saints to come now. Noxious finds one. Going to try to find another, but nobody just yet. That ball is trying to get in there as well to cause a little bit of chaos. Winthrop have yet to break through St. Clair's defense.
Yeah, I really liked that use of High Noon there. You know, even if it only finds the 1 pick, it scares Winthrop into making that push because we know, like you said, how, you know, if for those who might not know, with High Noon does lock on and almost an instant kill immediately here. But look at the Saints just doing so much work. A team kill there against Winthrop. I mean, like, we knew that the Saints were feeling confident coming in here, but they really have exceeded these early expectations here, and just 10 more percentage points on this, and they're going to be on their way to winning this first round here. And here is Razor deep in the back line here. Doesn't find anybody with that Pulse Bomb, but doing some more damage. And again, so deep in that Winthrop back line. And there is Azure again doing some more damage to the supports of Winthrop. Winthrop does manage to get back onto the point. That Infected Wrecking Ball play just so good in getting that point in control for Winthrop. Another V-drop from Winthrop to keep this team fight going here. Both teams at 99% in overtime. This is the last chance for either side.
Infected is going to drop the balls now. He's still on here trying to get them off. He finds Axure. 1 is down for the Saints. 4 left to go. Zura trying to find Razor now. Trying to cause a little bit of chaos. Still staying onto this site, but Zura is hunting him down like a wild dog. He's almost out. Noxious has popped this all as well. He'll try to find someone with a High Noon. Doesn't find any picks, though. It's 99 and 99 now. Axure has picked up the Doomfist as well to try to get them off quickly. Finds Rack Attack. Going to try to find another now, but they're getting in on this. Infected on that ball is just doing so well at getting on and off of that site and keeping that overtime timer up to 100%.
Yeah, look at, and like we talked about that Wrecking Ball here, but also talk about Razor. His Tracer has been the reason the Saints are able to stay in this one. He has been in the exact right spot that they need to be. And look at this, the rest of the Saints pick up the slack, and they are going to take this first round on Lijiang Tower. Still a lot of game to go, but very impressive start for the Saints tonight.
You know, if I had to say one thing that definitely was the benefit to the Saints was their healer game. We saw from Winthrop they were pulling out a Lucio Ana play, which I think, in my opinion, isn't the best currently in the meta. Ana, definitely a little bit of a weak link there. A great healer to mention and to play, no, not mistakenly, but not when compared to another healer like Kiriko. Kiriko just has so much more mobility, has a lot more kit to play a little bit more defensively, able with that Kitsune to cleanse any kind of effects that may be on the rest of their team. And also just overall with that ultimate is just great for winning out those team fights. We're still going to see Ultraviolet play this Ana here, and I think that could be like their death note currently in this game. I think going up to it right now, Zura is trying to change something right now on to the point, trying to find someone else, but actually Rack Attack is going to find the first kill out onto Soaks now, and on that Junker Queen, Axure is pretty interesting. Definitely a character that I love to see in this game, but hasn't seen too much in Overwatch itself.
Yeah, a little bit of a meta shift as well, or a team comp switch here. Noxious swapping to that Mei. I think that was a direct response to Infected and his Wrecking Ball. I mean, being able to slow him down will be absolutely key, especially on this more inside point where Wrecking Ball was just an absolute demon if he gets his grapple hook set up in the right way, and Infected already making his presence known early here. Winthrop getting that first touch, but the Saints able to retake here. I like the switch to Junker Queen as well. Like you were talking about, Junker Queen is so good right in that front lines, being up in the front line, and with Razor as well, just keeping things, you know, causing that chaos in the back line. The Saints do have a good chance of stealing this one away, but Winthrop going to recapture this point after the Saints had a brief lead. They still need to find an answer for Infected because he really is the big problem the Saints are having right now.
He is definitely the virus in the back of Saints right now because he's just got so much mobility, and he can pop right in front of your face saying, "Here I am, now you're dead," and absolutely destroy anybody. I mean, we saw him give the hand to Axure and absolutely took him out just moments ago, but now we got a couple ultimates online, so this battle could turn out to be very interesting. One goes down first for Winthrop. Looks like another is dropped for Noxious. Now the next one out for Infected is going to find another. Zura drops his own, and Ultraviolet follows it up with the last ult from Winthrop. It looks like they may win this out, but Noxious is still there, but soon to be not, is dropped by Infected yet again. The virus, the plague that has been taking down this St. Clair Saints squad.
Yeah, great job by Winthrop to stay the course there, just finding those picks when they need to, and just, like you said, just staying that course. I mean, Infected, just, you're giving him way too much space when you get him set up with the grapple hook on the point there. The Saints don't really have a good answer for him. The Mei not doing as much damage as I think they would like to. That Kiriko ult might be setting up this potential last push here for members of the Saints trying to get onto that point. Saints are going to be switching and taking it over. Razor still in that back line trying to take care of Ultraviolet. Does find the pick there. Winthrop getting staggered out here. Just Infected for the most part, but able to get away using that escapability of Wrecking Ball. And the Saints again trying to push Winthrop as far back to their spawn as they can to make sure they don't have any room to get back on the site.
Noxious is definitely going to be like the thorn in Infected's back because that wall can deny a lot of his mobility and stagger him just enough to allow their DPS to just demolish him, and that's where Razor comes in. Razor has got to pick those fights beautifully to get those single kills, but now Rack Attack is going to drop the Molten Lava onto everybody, going to try to take down Axure, but Axure finds him first, does find Redix, and now Zura finds Noxious, trying to find a little bit more on the point. Axure is there, trying to stay alive. The Kiriko to help him from Soaks, and now going to try to 1v1 Infected, but the hamster is too powerful. Looks like the Reckoning was just off point, did not find enough. Infected finds another. Exact finds the Lucio, and now the balls have dropped yet again, and like I said before, Infected, he can just get in and get out so quickly and cause a lot of damage in the few moments that he is in those team fights.
And now Infected going to be a much bigger problem because he was hit with that nano boost. Does find Noxious down there. He can't get his spin set up properly, though. Razor is getting another one onto Infected, or sorry, Rack Attack, and trying to secure that kill onto Ultraviolet. Does find him, currently dealing with all the supports that Winthrop has. That is a beat drop coming out from Liar. Winthrop on their last-ditch effort to stay the course here. Zura can't find any ult kills there, and the Saints, oh, they just had it. Infected just needed to He just stepped on her right in time, but I don't think he's going to be able to get back. But that is Liar, and now Infected is back indeed. Winthrop just hanging in there right at the end here while the rest of their teammates are off the point here. It's all Infected right now for Winthrop. Saints just have to take care of him, and they do. That is going to be a victory on map 1 for St. Clair. What a start for the Saints here. I mean, we talked about that. If they could at least win 1 or 2 tonight, that would be a win. But after that first match performance, I think they're looking at that 3-0. I think they can absolutely take that 3-0.
Definitely, and the MVP out from Infected, definitely worth. Like, he was incredible that entire game. Getting in, getting out, getting picks, getting a lot of, like, smaller, like, engagements onto some people who were just by themselves, some solo kills and whatnot, and it's just something that this team, Winthrop, have been able to, like, finite through their professional gaming careers, is playing characters like Wrecking Ball, who can just play so impactfully and so great in games like this, but luckily our Saints were just able to combat it and came back with a stellar performance. I have to say, I think it mostly came down to the DPS in that situation. We saw Noxious, we saw Razor as well playing great on those 2 Tracers, and May as well. But overall, the Saints have played a stellar game so far in this first one.
Yeah, and like we said, you have to do that 2 more times. Again, you know, you can't just play one of your best games of the year. You have to play all of your best games in one series tonight. But so far, they've been living up to the challenge. I mean, like you said, excellent work to be able to combat Infected's Wrecking Ball, because we know how dangerous Wrecking Ball is on Lijiang Tower. I mean, we saw how deadly it is when Wrecking Ball can get that grapple hook spin going on that point. Just endless contesting, just so annoying if you're the attacking team trying to win that point. But the Saints, I think, really held the course and did an excellent job. But there's still more game to go. But, like we said, I think they're going to use this momentum to build into the future. And, like we said, I think we definitely have a series. Not a stomp like we originally thought. Absolutely not.
No, and the Saints have come to play. Like, we talked to Noxious. They have the strats down. They've analyzed this team. They've analyzed their competitive play, and they have a lot to go off from because 2 of their players just recently played in a big tournament and won it. So they know exactly what they're going to play. They know what their comfort picks are. So being able to counter that perfectly is going to play to all of their advantage.
No, absolutely. Playing to their advantage, and again, the Saints just have to not let this get to them. You know, just focus on the task at hand. Focus on the next game in front of you. Don't get too distracted from that win. And, I mean, we can see the players right now. It doesn't look like they're doing any sort of early celebrating right now. They continue to be locked in, just getting ready for this next set as we await to see what map they decide to pick next. Hopefully it will be one that the Saints would favor. I mean, I think they're definitely looking to get this, like I said, this kill shot, you know, this kill win set up here. So we will see. We will see what they're able to do.
Indeed. And it's going to be tough. Like, we got to figure out where they're going to go next, what maps they're going to pick, if they're going to stay with the same comp, but we'll have to see. We'll have to figure it out because so far they've been able to play great. But Winthrop, I don't think we saw their full potential there. I think they were taking a little bit of a back step on that last game because, as I mentioned before, we saw some pretty questionable picks out from them. I mean, that Anna was definitely one that I highlighted before, and I want to keep highlighting because Kiriko is just a better support overall, like for mobility, for healing output, and for ultimate is definitely just overall atop of him.
We also had to think about, you know, Ana was sort of neutralized there because Razor's Tracer was so effective and just being that, you know, that fly they had to keep swatting that's just pestering you all the time. If Razor can keep that going and keep that Tracer or that Genji that we know he likes to play, if he can stay playing on an elite level like that, you can neutralize a bunch of Winthrop supports, and that's a really critical part of their game plan. We know how good Ultraviolet is on support as well, right? So we know that Winthrop does have a lot of good opportunities to, you know, pull this one back, but we will see. Game 2 is going to be starting very, very shortly. Kings Row, we are going to be doing. It's going to be Kings Row. Saints will be starting on attack in this one for Kings Row. So Wyatt, if you are the Saints, would you love to? You probably would like to start on attack with Kings Row. I know it is a defender-sided map, but it probably is good to give yourself at least a little bit of cushion when you go back on defense.
Indeed, I have to agree. The cushion is great for them, but let's take a look at our picks right now. It looks like we got a little bit of a mix-up across the entire board. Looks like Acture is going to be playing the newest agent into the game. And the name has also slipped over me. Oh my lord, Marvel Rivals is taking over my entire life now.
I believe it's Hazard, but I could be incorrect about that. I believe it is Hazard. Like you said, the newest hero of Overwatch 2, but a little bit of a tease as Azure immediately swaps back to Orisa. I think a more comfortable pick for him. But we have a double Orisa with Infected and Azure both pick it up here. And let's see, Zero here with the Ash pick. Definitely going to be, sticking with that sniper as well, But like we called before, Razor swapping to Genji. Definitely going to be a big thing to watch out for. Infected, though, taking that first pick of the match. That's Noxious going down. Zura finding Redex as well. Good start for Winthrop here. Saints haven't been able to get anywhere close to the point yet, but it looks like they might be attempting to make a push here. The Razor having to retreat to reset.
This is also a little bit of a question to me because I'm just noticing it right now. Why are Saints not playing Juno? Like, Juno has been an incredible support throughout the entirety, and I think they have to play it. They have to switch on to this. While it looks like they're going to be playing a little bit of a switch up right now. Noxious is opting for that Hanzo. Might be a little bit of a game changer here. I definitely haven't seen my days of Hanzo being the most impactful character on the roster and on the entire lobby, but let's see what happens. Looks like the Satellite Vector is going to be coming down. Razor is going to be getting in there to try and cause some mayhem. Infected as well has the ultimate down now. It looks like he's going to be dropping Axure. He's very low, but he's going to be able to get right back and get some heals now. But Infected is going to be dropped himself to Noxious and Razor, who found them in a duo comp. The 1-2 brother duo is just beautiful so far in this game from that Hanzo and Genji.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from the Saints here. And look how far. They are not letting Winthrop get any breathing room here. They are going right back to pushing them in this close spawn while they still had it. So the Saints they're so committed to this aggressive play that we've been seeing so far. And I really, really like that. Keeping Winthrop on their toes, not giving them a chance to set up this defense. And now you have multiple ults to play with on the side of the Saints here. So you can really do a lot of damage and keep these good vibes going here. But Razor, I mean, we've been calling his name a lot tonight. He has been such a difference maker for the Saints, and he's really the start of pushing the pace for the Saints, and that is a dragon from Hanzo coming out here, not finding anybody. Couple more ults coming down, but Razor's Dragon Blade is going to find Zura, and Redex also getting in on the action here. That's four members of Winthrop going down here. The Saints continue this dominant streak, pushing that payload forward even more. Wyatt, the Saints absolutely looking like the better team right now.
They have definitely done their research, and it shows for it. Like, we saw a really quick combo there attempted between Axure and Noxious. It was the Axure ultimate to pull everybody into an enclosed sector, and then Noxious with the Hanzo Dragons to try and deal a little bit of stagger damage while Axure charged up his own ultimate. Didn't result in any kills, but it shows that this team has the knowledge and has the creative aspect to try and pull some of those plays out. And now Axure is going to get aggressive himself, and he's going to take down two. Rack Attack and Ultraviolet are falling to the hands of Axure. Trying to find any more now. Noxious is up top, going to try to find Infected. He does die to Axure now. But Infected was just able to take out Redex, which leaves Saints with just one healer for a couple moments. But they are not letting up any of this aggression, and it looks like they're nearing close to the end of this push.
Saints staying aggressive, pushing Winthrop all the way back to their final spawn here. And it's been really quick. I mean, like, virtually zero resistance from Winthrop. They haven't been able to recapture the payload at all or really get a big team fight to swing their way. And now Winthrop really having to figure out what to do next because the Saints just have every answer for them. Rack Attack deciding to bring that Symmetra out here to sort of bolster their backline defense here, but another ult from Noxious is going to come out to push them back even farther. That's another Azure ult and a spear to the face. That's a 10-player kill streak for Azure. He is just absolutely popping off right now. Him and Razor are the big difference makers for the Saints right now. And again, Azure and Razor both at the doors of Winthrop spawn here, just waiting for them to come out. Those unsuspecting members of Winthrop have no idea what's coming for them.
Definitely locking at the doors of Winthrop, keeping them close and keeping them in their own sector, as it looks like this might come to an end soon. Only 2 meters remain. 0.3 of a meter left, but Razor's going to drop the ultimate to find 2, find 3, looking to try and find another, and there's 1 left to defend it, but Redx drops them, and your Saints make a full push on Kings Row.
Finishing with emphasis as well, that team kill to finish it off. What a round from St. Clair. Everything that you could have asked for, they were able to do. Incredible pacing, great use of ultimates, not letting Winthrop breathe a single second, and they are absolutely cruising right now. They need to keep this momentum going here, and now you have a very good shot at keeping that momentum going, because you know, like Kings Row, like we didn't see it in that last round, but Kings Row typically is a defensive-sided map. So we're going to see if the Saints can prove that to be true on this first point here. So we're going to see if they decide to change their comp a little bit. But I mean, if it ain't broke, you shouldn't fix it. I mean, they absolutely rolled Winthrop with that last comp here. So we'll see what they decide to bring to the table, but not really more you can really ask for with St. Clair. Just did everything you could have asked for.
I mean, you got to hand it off to our curly-haired friend on the stage right now. Razor is definitely showing why he deserves to be on this team as a DPS main. He was getting in the backline so often and so well as that Genji, and as we saw in the end, got an amazing 3K with the ultimate to close it out. And that is just what you need on a map like Kings Row, where, as you said, it is normally defender-sided, but a player like Razor can easily break through that titanium wall.
Yeah, Winthrop electing to mess with their comp a little bit. Ultraviolet switching to that Baptiste. We know that's one of his signature players, or signature characters, I should say. So definitely going to be something to watch out for on the side of Winthrop. But Azure, again, has been absolutely winning that Orisa battle with Infected. I mean, Azure is a part of every kill, it seems like. Everywhere you look, he is either using his charge ability there, his spear to finish off those little squishies or just push the pace. He really has been doing everything the Saints could ask for him. And again, winning that battle with Infected as well. That's very, very critical matchup in this one here. But Winthrop is on the point early here. Saints do have to regroup a little bit. That is Zura with Sojourn in the back line. Definitely have to be careful with that. And now look at this, Winthrop trying to do the Saints strategy back to them, pushing them as far back as they can. Already at the second echelon of capture. It looks like Winthrop is going to take this one. It looks like a very similar round to what happened against them last one.
Indeed, and we have to credit that to the switch from Ultraviolet onto that Baptiste, a support that we know can not play more defensively, but can play more aggressively, has a lot of utility and a lot of hit to enable fights and help the rest of their team in those opportunities, and some fights of their own as well. With that primary fire was definitely deadly, spot on, getting some kills for themselves. But now the Saints have got to adapt to this. We've seen them adapt in the first game. They took the absolute first one off of Winthrop's hands, and it was great because they were adapting to what they were bringing. But now they need to do it quickly because the payload is moving. Winthrop are coming for that third point to send this to an overtime, and this is something that Saints have to calculate.
Yeah, it definitely is something they're going to have to watch out for. But on the other hand, maybe that is something you're playing for. You know, when you have that third point, yes, Winthrop will have more time to get the payload through a very small area, but you have that close spawn. You know you can play a lot of good defensive characters. You have that close spawn right nearby to get right back in the action right away. But we are going to see as the ults do start to come out. That is a bunch of ults from both sides coming out here. That's Zura finding Redx here to open up the picture, using that damage boost to get that extra bit of damage here. But Azure finding Rack Attack, but going down immediately after. Still contesting on the point is Winthrop, and they are going to win that fight and keep the payload going here. Zura keeping that aggressive pace from Winthrop, rapidly going up here, finding another pick, and Winthrop looking like they're going to be matching St. Clair and getting to that second checkpoint.
Is definitely the nightmare right now for St. Clair. Pushing up so far with Infected. Rack Attack close to follow as well is not giving a lot of opportunities for Razor or Noxious to get in the back line and get rid of their two healers, which have been, I think, the main game changers here, because that Lucio is just great with fights where you can just stagger and keep your team alive for just a couple more moments. But now the Molten Core coming out from Rack Attack, going to try to find a couple people, but that Lucio ult does get dropped by Red X to kind of save them out. Axer's going to find Ruza. Now Razor trying to find someone of his own, but the Lucio is going to find him, but Axer finds the Lucio, and now they're pushing up. Razor's trying to get them out of there, and they have the opportunity, they have the momentum, they have the player advantage to push them back. Razor's now got to retreat as well to find a little bit of sanctuary with the rest of his team, as now it looks like Winthrop are back to full potential and full force, and they're looking to mount another frontal attack.
Yeah, that Dragon Blade from Razor is going to come out here, but not going to find much as Razor got pushed out from Infected Orisa there, but great job from the Saints by at least stopping the progress of Winthrop, give themselves just a little bit of breathing room here, and here is Soaks with that Kiriko ult to just give a little bit more support to his teammates, and that's Azure's ult going down. Razor finding two of his own. The Saints continue to stay the course, finding those picks that they need, holding Winthrop off of that payload. What a spear throw from Azure there to get Zura there. Great throw there. Azure continuing to push Winthrop off of that point here. That turret just doing no damage to Orisa as the Saints get a bit more breathing room. Winthrop have to regroup now.
They do, and Axer has been pushing this great so far, and Noxious is there to help him as well. We mentioned him before. Our Canadian player in Overwatch has definitely been showing up on the DPS role. He's almost got his ultimate online, and it looks like Zura has just popped his ult as well, so might be looking to combat him with that and show him just how good of a player he is. Axer is up there as well. It's breaking down by Redix, looking for another push up. Noxious has dropped his ult as well, looking to find a couple headshots onto some. Finds Ultraviolet's safety net, and now trying to take down Infected, who's just pushing up there and trying to move the point a little bit as they are so close. And it looks like Ultraviolet is going to drop his ultimate now with Zura down there. Going to try to find someone, but Noxious knows he's over there. Ultraviolet finds the first one onto Razor. Drop down now. One player down for the Saints. 4 more to go. Axer is in there trying to stay alive. They are so close to capturing this point, but Redek is not going to have it. He takes down Infected, but he drops to a Rack Attack as well. Axer is still on this point. The ultimate comes out trying to find a couple, and Noxious and Razor are there to assist him.
What excellent work from the Saints. Their backs against the wall, 3.5 meters left to go, and they win that team fight. Still more games to go, 1 minute 50 seconds left for Winthrop to get those extra couple meters they need to send this one into an overtime. But what work from St. Clair to be able to stay the course there, you know, bringing those ults out, staying composed, not letting Winthrop get a second inch there. Those couple meters so huge for St. Clair, and now they are in a position to potentially push Winthrop back. Just have to get through this last minute 26. Here's Azure using that spear again. He's been so deadly with that Razor. Does have that Dragon Blade, and he is going to pop it, but a Lucio ult from Liar is going to save the members of Winthrop. They're not going to find anything, unfortunately, as Winthrop getting a couple more picks now. They are looking to finish it, and that's Azure getting pushed off the map from Infected. That's going to do it. Another team kill to end the match. Winthrop able to match St. Clair's 3 with 3 checkpoints of their own. And now we head into overtime on Kings Row.
Going to a speed round. Which team will be able to push it faster in the shorter amount of time? Definitely great push from both sides, but you know what? I think the Saints have got it. We saw them pushing off a little bit against what Winthrop were bringing to the table, which is something that we didn't see from Winthrop. We didn't see them mount a big team fight where they could actually stop the entire St. Clair roster for a couple moments to save them some time. Now, Winthrop, they did push the rest of the point, but I think that little crack in their attack from the Saints is what's going to make the difference here, as they don't have a lot of time left to push that point and get these next couple of points to themselves.
Well, like you said, it's a speed round, and it all comes to the team that is the fastest. And in Overwatch terms, if you're going to be a fast team, you have to be aggressive. We've seen a lot of aggression from both sides here, but I want to harken back to the first round where the Saints were on the start, they were on the attack. We weren't sure how exactly it was going to go, but they just established themselves right away. They told Winthrop that they were the big dogs in the lobby and they were not going to be pushed around at all. I'd love to see St. Clair find that energy again, but it's going to be tough starting on defense because Winthrop is thinking that exact same thing. Nobody is going to be wasting any time to get to the payload here. Only 50 seconds to capture the payload, so you have to move quick here. St. Clair is going to want to make sure that you don't let Winthrop get a single inch of territory here, as this really is where it matters.
Noxious may be the deciding factor on the defense on that Ashe. A great hit scan player and definitely someone who can take down a lot of health bar in a short amount of time. Looking to take down Ultraviolet, still on that path. It looks like they have taken the high ground. Obi-Wan Kenobi would be very proud of them. And now Infected is trying to get into their backline to take them down. Definitely finds Asher, speeding towards him now to try and find them, charging up that hook. Finds him and now trying to take him out of it. It looks like they pushed him back just enough to be able to capture this first point. But now the timer has been run out. It is sent into overtime, and this Winthrop team cannot get off of this point.
Yeah, they are going to get the payload, but like you said, it is in overtime now, so the Saints just have to win a team fight and then they will have a chance to run the payload just a little bit more. So like you said, you have to be perfect here. You have to make sure that you get this team fight over as fast as possible. You're going to see a bit of a meta shift, bit of a team comp change. Razor switching to that Pharah. Interesting choice for some quick splash damage. Definitely gonna have to hit your shots. That is a Baptiste damage wall going up though with that Kiriko ult as well. Here come the ults, and this one is gonna make it very difficult for Razor to find any of those kills with that Lucio ult from Liar protecting the team here. Infected trying to stay alive. Bob has come to help the St. Clair Saints. He is here, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints are going to clear the Winthrop team off the point after just a little bit of pushing from them, but definitely doable. I think don't really have to make it too far here, and if the Saints are able to push Winthrop off as aggressively as they did in that first one, I think they can do it.
Indeed. We saw the Saints, they pulled out a little bit of a creative comp there. We saw the Pharah out from Razor, which was something really interesting I didn't think we would see on the defensive side, but hey, it worked for them, and you know who else worked for them? Was Bob. Noxious was great on that Ashe, definitely a crucial character in that defensive round, but now the tables have turned. They are on the attack. They have to push this with what time they have left, and I think, if I'm not wrong, they've got at least more than a hot minute to push this payload as fast and as far as they can.
It's a hot minute, but it's going to feel like 30 seconds with the way this game has been going so far. You have no room for error here. You have to make this clean, and you have to make this quick. And if you're the Saints, like you said, you're going to want to make sure you get in there as much as possible. You can't afford to reset a team fight at this stage in the game. You have to make sure you're fully committing and everybody is aware of what's going on. You can't have Winthrop get any picks here, anything that could slow them down here, as Noxious swapping to that Widowmaker, trying to get those big early picks. Like we were saying here, Razor sticking to Pharah, definitely has some tricks up his sleeve there, but look at this, Azure already past the fence here. They are wasting no time in trying to get to that payload. Azure has been the pace setter, the tone setter for the Saints, and he is continuing to do that here as the Saints get onto the point early. Azure being pushed out just a little bit from Zura. Soldier in play, but a huge javelin throw, looking like a professional Olympic athlete throwing that javelin there. Huge pick to start this capture for the Saints here, already at the second echelon almost here. Azure doing it all himself and holding out the members of Winthrop. Another member of the Saints does manage to get onto that point here, but a couple members of Winthrop do get back into the fight here. Saints don't have a lot of time to waste here. They have to commit to this team fight so close to capturing that payload and at least keeping this overtime going just a little bit longer.
You've got to get Infected off of there. He has been, yet again, the virus for St. Clair Saints, denying them to cap this first point where they're so close to doing so, and they've got a minute and 30 to do it. They finally get it, and now they just have to push the payload not too far, not halfway across the map, just about a quarter, and then they are going to take their second game and possibly the series.
And look at this already. Like we called out, they're doing this exact same strat that they were using in their first round of attack. Azure leading the charge, pushing Winthrop as far back near their spawn as they can. It's going to be very difficult for them to get back here as Winthrop is trying to rush on this huge flank here, but that's why Razor has that fair, and there is Infected back onto Wrecking Ball. Razor's justice from above, not finding anybody. Zura finding two with his ult, but Azure and Noxious with two of their own for the Saints. 3 meters left to go, and then the Saints can call this one done and dusted. Azure trying to hold off Infected, does manage to do it. The Saints win this battle of attrition on Kings Row, and they have a 2-0 series lead against Winthrop.
They are focused, and they are ready to play these games back to back, taking it for them. And we're going to see another MVP from the side of Winthrop, definitely attributing to the high level of professional players that they have on their squad. But you know what? We were definitely right talking about this before, Evan, about how the fact that even though Winthrop have great players, they are not as good as our Saints as it comes to team play and chemistry, because that has just been the biggest thing that has been overcoming them and being their greatest advantage so far in these last 2 games. Winthrop have not found an answer yet for it.
The chemistry is absolutely popping off for the Saints right now. Just what a series so far it's been. We were talking about how they were having to play their best games of this year so far, and we weren't exactly sure what that was going to look like, but you can tell that they are just absolutely locked in right now. So dialed in.
Indeed, and ladies and gentlemen, as exciting as it has been, we're going to be sending it to a quick break as we get into our next game. Will the Saints take this 3-0, or have Winthrop finally decided to lock in and take this game back to their own hands? But we will figure that out in a few short moments. Welcome back, Saints. We are here yet again for your third game of Overwatch. We have St. Clair Saints versus Winthrop. And Evan, I have to say, this has been a complete shocker of a series so far.
Shocker is a really, really good word for it. I mean, we always, here at St. Clair College, we're always pulling for our Saints to do well. But, I mean, we saw the writing on the wall. I mean, we accepted that this was most likely going to be a very, very challenging game for St. Clair. But so far, they are absolutely living up to the hype. And they really have looked good doing it, too. I mean, like, they look like the better team as well. It's not like they're just, accidentally slipping and falling their way into winning these rounds. I mean, they're doing it in pretty dominant fashion.
Indeed, like we saw that first game, it went 2-0 to them, and then the game that we just saw end, it was very quick. It was like we went to an overtime, both were able to cap it first, but then our Saints were just able to push it a little bit further. But now, I'd be interested to see getting into our next game if they can take it in a nice, crisp 3-0 action.
Well, I hear the music. I know where we're going. Overwatch veterans will recognize that Latin American sound. It is Dorado, pure payload. Next year, looks like the Saints are going to be starting. Here's on attack. I think that's a favorable place for the Saints to start. Like we said, want to establish early, keep that aggressive. I don't really see the Saints steering away from that game plan of ultra and trying to push Winthrop as they can, as far as they can.
You know what? I talked about this earlier, saying that like this is going to be a game of switching between heal, but I think right now it's been a game between DPS. It's pretty consistent. If any, expected tanks to be a little cold. They've really stayed like solid so far. It looks like Acture are bringing out some interesting comps right now.
Well, we were talking to the Saints before. They were planning around Winthrop's Winston. It looks like we're finally getting a look-see at Winston, one of the better dive tanks in Overwatch, and definitely to Asher's gonna have to make sure that he is careful because that Winston electricity get through Diva's defense matrix. So maybe not an ideal matchup for Azure, but if the Saints are committing aggressive play, absolutely solid.
Definitely, it's going to work for the side of Winston on Infected, and Zerg is just the classic comical duo that we've seen from the anime. Really great for getting into the backline. I, yet again, have to critique this Ana. You know, I'm no professional player myself. Like you said, the writing in Ana isn't really the most mobile kind of support. She can't support a lot of the getting into the Akiriko could do that. And now we are going to be seeing a little bit of a switch player to I've done it again, forgotten the game, help me Lord.
Brigitte.
What am Brigitte?
Yes.
Brigitte, oh my
Yes.
Lord. But yeah. A switch definitely something that the Saints have not yet seen.
Well, Infected definitely making his presence known early, being a thorn in the side of Noxious as well as both of our supports, and Zura as well, trying to go bar for bar with Razor's Tracer, who really has been making a huge difference. And there is Infected going monkey mode right here, just going absolutely crazy in the backline here. Not a good start to the Saints here. Just under 2 minutes left to go for this first checkpoint, and the Saints definitely looking a bit out of sorts on this one. Winthrop might have found the wind in their sails that they needed to get back in this series.
Those Saints have got 5 tricks up their sleeve, and they are called ultimates. Everybody has got something to play with here, and it looks like they're trying to sneak around, but Infected has caught them and the act red-handed. Now we're going to see a couple dropped right now. Looks like Bob is coming out, and it looks like we're going to see a Diva nade as well. Trying to find someone, doesn't find anyone yet, but Noxus is going to be able to find Ultraviolet. Infected answers back, taking out Noxious. And now it looks like Razor's in a little bit of a 1v1 on the Tracer. Acture getting in on the action right now, looking to take out Infected. He's on the last life and trying to get him out. He is. out of the game, and now pushing this point a little further. It looks like Zura is the only one left up front. Mind you, Liar is now going to be dropped by Razor.
And this is what the Saints need to get back into. I was really looking to see Azure get a lot deeper into the backline with D.Va. D.Va being so powerful, so many mobility options in her kit. Just really needs to get in there. Only 1:52 left to go to get to this first checkpoint here. The Saints just need a little bit of help to get to this checkpoint. Less than a meter to go now. Torbjorn holding it down for Winthrop. Just absolutely crazy. But Azure not out of the fight just yet. Here is Infected. Does pop his ult. That's going to give Winthrop just a little bit of breather room and push the members of the Saints off the payload. Not necessarily needing to go for picks here, but just needs to keep St. Clair off the payload, off the point. Doesn't matter, though. They are going to get that last little bit that they need. One checkpoint down for St. Clair as they keep rolling.
You know, Monkey Mode just didn't work for Infected there. Asher has been great so far and has another D.Va bomb to also play with. Razor now also got their own Pulse Bomb. Definitely a lot on the board. Asher's going to drop his, but doesn't find anybody except Rack Attack's turret. But now,
it's something.
Saints have got a little bit of a time to push. Looks like Zura and Winston are trying to mount a little bit of a flank, but is quickly denied by Redix, pushing them back off. And now up front, Noxious and Razor trying to make something happen. Looks like Infected is going to drop from the heavens, trying to find something. And Axer is right there to try and play around this corner and find someone in the back line. Looks like the Kiriko ult is going to help him out as well. But Infected finds Noxious on that Widowmaker. And now Axer trying to find someone is just going to find the turret yet again. But this has stopped the Saints for the moment.
Hey, you know, even just getting that turret, very much important. I mean, the turret does some good work. You know, just that little bit of extra DPS and a little bit of chip damage for the side of Winthrop. So definitely not a bad thing, but I like how the Saints are now focusing their attention on Infected's Winston because he really is that pace setter for Winthrop now. I mean, he's getting into the backline where he can, just being an absolute nuisance to the supports and Widowmaker. I mean, Widowmaker is definitely a hard, you know, not going to have a good time against a Winston here, but Noxious trying to do the best he can, and so far the Saints have been looking pretty good. Just about to get to the second checkpoint here. Just getting around that corner. Azure again trying to keep this payload moving for the Saints. Just about at the next payload. That is Brigitte's ult from Liar coming out to rally the troops. Just a little bit more health and more shields coming out for Winthrop. Infected popping his ult as well. Finding Noxious again. But the Saints do not relent. Azure finding Liar again. That is Zura getting soaks. Another support going down for the Saints. Might be a bit of a wipe here. Not really much you can do, especially with Azure in baby D.Va mode right now. Trying to get that pick on Ultraviolet, but it's going to fall off the map before he can find that pick here. Saints going to have to reset.
Noxious tried to find a quick, clean pick onto Ultraviolet, but it's not going to be able to work for him. Looks like time is going to be running down, and Saints have to touch this if they want to continue the push. Now it has reached 0. Overtime is breaking down. Axer is onto this Doomfist. Is he quick enough? It looks like he is not. And Winthrop are going to be able to stop the Saints in their tracks.
Stopping them in their tracks, but still a lot of momentum and a lot of forward progress here. I think the Saints definitely wish they could get that extra checkpoint. It definitely looks like they feel like they could have gotten that second checkpoint here. So a little disappointing here, but the Saints are going to have to respond on defense now. And like we've seen before, Winthrop definitely is no stranger to aggression on payload, so it's going to be a tough challenge, but I think the Saints are up for it.
I think they are indeed, and like this is really going to test their mental fortitude because we've seen them pull out some crazy plays. I mean, we talked about it ourselves. That Winston versus D.Va play definitely seemed favored more to Infected on the Winston than it did on Axer on the D.Va. But hey, it worked out for them. They were able to push the cart a decent distance, but now they weren't able to complete it, which is what they were able to do on King's Row. This has been a little bit of a difference in their last game, but I don't think they have to worry about that too much. They have taken Winthrop to 2 games, and they're now on the verge of making this a 3-0 if they can just hold them off for long enough. But they've got to get through it first, and it looks like we're going to see yet another creative play from the Saints as Acture playing on the newest tank in the game.
I'm wondering if he's going to commit to this, because he did this in the Kings Row game and then switched off immediately after his first death. So I wonder if this is going to be a play he's going to be sticking with the entire time. But here is Infected swapping off that Winston, going back to Wrecking Ball. We know how dangerous he is with Wrecking Ball, and that is a very smart play on the side of Winthrop, especially if you're trying to be ultra aggressive here in this one. Winthrop wasting absolutely no time at getting this escort mission started. Infected doing what he does best, and that's getting into the back line and just bullying the supports back there. I mean, Wyatt, I think Infected really is that sort of X factor for Winthrop. How do you stop him here? Are you switching to like a more traditional tank counter like a Reaper, or what do you think the Saints should be doing here?
I tell you how they stop them. They give themselves a crazy Scottish character on their side. That is what Hazard is. Talk about bullying the supports. He absolutely hopped over to Liar and just slapped him out of the entire game. This has been a great change so far that I've seen from them in the start, and is definitely working for Acture to keep them at bay. We've seen that Winthrop are kind of circling around the payload right now, but have not yet found a way to actually push it, because Saints have just had a stellar defense.
Yeah, so far the defense has been good, but if you think about last round, it definitely took the Saints a little bit of time to get through this first bit of defense as well. So I don't think Winthrop is feeling like they're necessarily out of it yet. Azure is going to fall there, but Noxious trying to keep the DPS going here with Ash. Not able to find any picks there, but Razor and Soaks able to find a couple. That is a nice headshot there, but just couldn't complete the kill. That's Rack Attack going down, but Infected taking out 2 of his own. Azure now back in the fight on the outside, looking in, does have his ult to play with. He is not afraid to get right up in there with the rest of them, and Azure, for now, has stalled Winthrop's progress.
Definitely going to try to stall out Infected and get into the character that can wall off a part of the map to stop him in a halt. But now the ultimates are dropped down. It looks like Infected is boosted up by Ultraviolet's Nano, and now Noxus coming in with the Bob call is going to take down 1, and Acture is going to try to find Ultraviolet. Just hanging on by the skin of his hair. He does fall now to Acture. Infected is able to answer back on to Noxious, but now looks like Acture might die here unless the rest of his team is there to support him. Infected is now got to back up himself as he is supported by that Kiriko ult, but it's not going to help them for long. Liar does drop Redix now, but it looks like Infected might be the next off to Razor, and it looks like Saints might just have a glimmer of hope to stop this payload yet again.
Somehow the Saints are able to live through that team fight. I mean, like you said, just by the skin of their teeth there, they were just able to get through it. Azure was going to stay alive, but Liar finishing him out there. Infected's mines, though, just did some real damage in keeping the Saints off the payload here, and they are already back on. 40 seconds left for the Saints to stop it here, but Winthrop definitely has all the momentum on their side, especially with Infected on Wrecking Ball here. Saints briefly retake control of the payload. 30 seconds left to go. No ults for either side at the moment. As soon as I say it, Zura does get his pulse bomb. Definitely going to be something to start that team fight. The Saints are going to have to be absolutely perfect in this next team fight if they want to end this here.
Zura has the first ult on the side of Winthrop, and it looks like Ultraviolet and Infected are going to be close to follow, but on the side of the Saints, we've got Acture and Soaks, who has just popped his ult as well. Zura is going to be able to find 1 kill with that pulse bomb, but now, as overtime ticks down, Acture is going to drop his own ult, but he's going to be dropped to Liar, and now the Saints have got to push off of Infected. He has his own ult now, drops it down. The mines are around the point, and now St. Clair have got to back up because the entire Winthrop team is here to play and here to defeat them. Razor trying to get something to start them, to get them back in this game, but is dropped yet again by Infected, and it looks like they're going to be able to take this first point.
But somehow the Saints are still in it. Azure swapping to that Doomfist here. Can he be the hero? He cannot, as Winthrop in overtime managing to outlast the Saints there. I'd imagine that Azure is going to be swapping off that Doomfist now because they lose that payload, or lose that checkpoint, excuse me, and Azure is going to be swapping back to Hazard. I think that Doomfist was just a little bit of a desperation play. The Saints got to get back quick because, yes, there are only 2 minutes left to go, but Winthrop has that momentum of getting that last checkpoint here, so definitely cannot take your foot off the gas pedal here. Have to end it, and have to end it here right now.
Axer has got to be a little bit quicker with that because he was able to get some early picks onto Liar, but hasn't been able to find anything just as fast. Redix is going to drop the Lucio ult, which is going to save them for a little bit, but Infected is going to get in there with Ultraviolet to help him out, taping out Redix, and now looks like Axer is going to try to pounce onto Infected, but he gets to the rest of his team and is now going to back off yet again. Noxious is coming back now to support the rest of them, but Infected has just been the thorn in their back too many times to count, and looks like he's going to try to take down another, but Axer answers back, taking down Rack Attack, and now Saints have control of the point. They are not pushing it just yet. Infected is still there, looks like he's going to drop the ultimate, and now Ultraviolet as well, dropping the Nano Nade onto themselves to try and find someone. Might look to try and find Axer, but he escapes with his life. Just half of his health remaining. Infected trying to whittle that away, but now Ultraviolet finds himself in a 1v1 scenario with Axer, and Axer drops him dead to the ground, back to the grave.
50 seconds left to go in this one. Winthrop knocking at the door of a Game 3 victory. The Saints have to do their best to hold them off. Infected does go down from Razor, but you know he's going to be back quick. Infected has been the X factor for Winthrop here. Saints have to be able to deal with him if they want a shot at getting this win. Huge pick, though, as Liar falling in the back line, going to be staggered out. Definitely going to be a big factor coming into this next and potentially final team fight of this match here, and the Saints definitely need to win this one here. Here is Azure on Hazard, trying to do some work on Rack Attack. Does have his ult to play with, but that is the Molten Core coming out from Razor. Razor elected to swap to Torb as well. Double Molten Cores on the payload right now. Nobody looking to commit to it with all that lava. We have entered overtime, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints just have to keep Winthrop off of the payload, and then they are going to consider it a win, but it's not going to happen as Winthrop is able to secure the victory at the stroke of midnight. Winthrop keeping the series going, but for the Saints, you had to think you could have had that one back. So close for them. Easily could have been a winnable game for them.
You know, we hoped for it, but when you've got top-tier talent in a lobby like this, you're not going to get a clean sweep. Players like Infected are not just going to hurdle over and let you stomp them, and Winthrop have now found an answer. They've been able to come back, taken one game on the board, and we will see a game 4, which is what I was hoping for. I didn't want this to be a clean stomp. I wanted this to be an interesting game to see just how far the Saints can push themselves when met with some professional talent.
Now, while it is still okay, you know, you drop one, you know, you still have that lead, you do have a chance to end it, but you definitely have to be thinking, well, what if Winthrop makes that comeback? You know, that would just be absolutely demoralizing, that chance of happening. And now Winthrop, they have the momentum. They believe that they have a shot now. You know, they just need to get this last game won, and then anything can happen in game 5. So unfortunate the Saints weren't able to hold that one down, but very, very close from them. I still think they have the ability to take the series away from Winthrop, but need a little bit more work to be done.
Indeed, and time will tell, as ladies and gentlemen, looks like we are going to be getting another quick break as we head into game 4. Will it be a reverse sweep and Winthrop coming back with a 3-2 to destroy the mentality of your St. Clair Saints, or will they be able to find one more victory and close it out for the season heading into playoffs? Time will tell, and it will be in just a few moments as we see you after this short break.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was the shortest break ever. But, we just need a little bit of time to get set up, get that mental reset, because this really has been an exciting series, a very taxing series on our brains here. But it's going to be New Junk City, Flashpoint in Game 4. So this is a mode that the Saints have struggled with a little bit just because of the pace that it goes, and, sometimes, you lose that momentum, or, you let the enemy team get a little bit of momentum, especially with the points changing so much. But we are here, the Saints, looking to end it here, or will Winthrop win it and send it to a deciding Game 5? We are here, and we are ready to see what happens.
Another interesting pick out from Infected. Another creative tank, I'm going to say Mauga. I haven't seen a lot of him in this series, but we yet not forget him. He is still one of the tankiest tanks in the current meta, and I'm going to be interested to see how he plays around with that Juno and Zura on that Genji. But now, looking to start it out, Razor finds the first pick onto Infected. Ultraviolet taking him out, now answering back. Noxious very close to falling himself, but does not find death yet. And it looks like St. Clair are looking to take this first point.
Yeah, definitely looking to. It's been looking good. Infected just getting a little too aggressive with Mauga is going to go back to what was working before with Wrecking Ball. Saints didn't really have any answers for it in that last game, so this is going to be a big test for them because he really has been that problem. Noxious does put an end to it right now. Noxious swapping to that Sojourn. Saints finally take control of the first flashpoint, trying to hold Winthrop off. Looking very, very strong so far with some good picks from Noxious and Azure. Again, keeping that pace, ultra aggressive, not letting Infected get anywhere near that point. But again, the Saints do have a lot of work to do still, as Winthrop is just going to lay over and die right now.
Indeed, the name of the game has been mobility, because both Saints and the Winthrop are moving very fast around the entire map. You have Redix there, who is able to help Axure and also Razor move around fairly swiftly, and then you also have Winthrop, who on that ball is probably the fastest character in the entire game by far. Great at getting in and getting out and using a lot of utility as well. But now we are going to be seeing a lot of ultimates dropped out. We got a Molten Core, we got a couple boomboxes as well, and it looks like Juno is going to be dropping their ult yet again. Looks like Zura and Lyra are going to be finding 2 picks, and Winthrop will find the point to themselves to take some percentage.
Yeah, Winthrop having to use quite a few ultimates to get that point, but again, the Saints do have a chance to respond here. Zura swapping to that Genji, trying to potentially match Razor's energy here. You know how good Razor's been on Genji, so it's going to be a very interesting mirror match to see if Zura is able to do as good. But look at that, so far doing an excellent job, finding 3 with that Dragon Blade rack attack, adding another one. Winthrop looking for that team kill, and they are going to get it. Zura proving that he is a danger on any character he picks up. Great job for Winthrop, but still a bit of work to go if they want to match the Saints in terms of percentage.
As you may, Zura absolutely diabolical with that sword, and now Infected looking to match the exact same kind of aggression yet again back into the backline of the St. Clair Saints, trying to find someone. Looks like Zura is going to diff out Razor and is also going to find out Noxus. Answer is trying to answer back, finds Rack Attack, but Infected finds yet another of the St. Clair Saints down now. Axure looks to be the only one here on the point to try and keep this in overtime. He's going to be pushed off a little bit as well, and he's just going to be met with bullets flying from every which direction, and Winthrop find the first in this Flashpoint game.
I think the Saints are going to have to rethink their strategy here, and it's not Infected they need to be watching out for. It's Zura who is the big problem now. I mean, we saw how effective he was with Genji, and here's Infected again doing so much damage with that Wrecking Ball, just being an absolute Wrecking Ball in the Saints backline. The Saints have 2 big problems to deal with, but right now Zura is really establishing himself as a huge threat for Winthrop, and he's going to be he's going to be making it very, very tough for the Saints here. Second point is active Saints do get on it first. Azure trying to keep that pace going, trying to hold off the members of Winthrop from getting onto the